Hi guys, welcome back. So let's talk about workflows. Have you ever thought of building a huge project, sitting hours, building the pipeline, step by step approach using the code? And I mean, it's very hectic, right? So in this generation, I don't think it makes any sense. So workflows actually makes our lives easier, right? So you can design the entire pipeline, you can design the entire project, and you can build it on the platform itself without the usage of any code. Let's say you have to build an application, for example, an OCR followed by an LLM. Let's say you have an image and then you use OCR on top of it to extract the text, and then you pass the text as a context to the LLM, and then expect the LLM to answer the questions based on the context. How do you build this, right? You basically sit, uh, you take you import lots of models, and then import the OCR, and then you do a lot of coding stuff, which is hectic. But you can do it in a better way, and an efficient way, using the workflows without using any code. Right? You can just drag and drop all the required um, the features available, and then you can design the workflow right there. So this is what I'll be showing you in this tutorial, right? We'll talk about the nodes that are available, like what exactly is node and all, and then how we can uh, build the entire workflow. And the best part is, once the workflow has been built, a dedicated API will be generated, and you can use that API into our own project, right? So that's how the workflows are being used, especially built by Eden AI. So without any further delay, let's get started. Once we go to the Eden AI's page, application page, navigate to the workflows, and this is where it gets us into, right? So this is the workflow page. You can see, business templates and my workflows here, and along with, you can start creating from scratch, or you can choose a lot of already available templates, right? I mean, there are a lot actually, including the PDF summarizer, document classifier, etc., etc. But for now, let's start from scratch. Okay, just create from scratch. Just give the name, for now, probably workflows demo. I don't want to give any description for now. Again, you can choose from existing workflow or start from scratch, or again, you can choose templates. But let's start from scratch. Create the project. Okay, so this is where we are now. This is the builder page. You can see builder, evaluate and deploy, API and live testing, right? And this is the workflow ID, and this is the name, right? And this is the beautiful skeleton we have. We have an input, and then add your first AI feature and the output. So we can see there are three nodes here. The input node, and add your first AI feature node, which is empty right now, but you can add node, and finally the output node. So when I say node, nodes are nothing but the links, right? So for example, a node can be a feature like chat, code generation, or something, or it can also be a logic like if statement or loop statement. It can be connectors, probably like Dropbox or GitHub or something, and you can also use it like a tool, right? Like something like web scraper or code or something. So these are all the nodes that are available on the workflow. So for this example, I want to build a very simple project. It's basically, we provide an image, and we use OCR technique to read the text from the image, and we pass the text as a context to an LLM and ask questions, right? So this is a workflow that I want to build now. So it will be hectic if you start sitting and coding, but through this builder menu, it's quite simple. So that's what we are going to see now. So you know the flow now. So the inputs we require are nothing but, one is to upload the file. So basically a file input. And to ask a query, we need a query, the text, right? So we already have a text. So probably we can edit this. Uh, we can keep it as a string, but we can change the name as something like query, right? And then edit this field, done. And we can also add one more input field. Probably we can use file. The name is like something like input image, something like that. Yeah, add field, right? So the input node is done, which is mandatory. So if you observe something, input node and output node are like constant. You cannot delete them. You cannot do anything. They're like mandatory, which is obvious, right? So once the input field is done, let's go to the first AI feature. So you know it. We have to use the OCR first to extract the contents. So we'll go there and type OCR. I'll probably use OCR multi-page in case if it has the PDFs and all. So probably you can use OCR multi-page. Add to workflow. Yeah, cool. So we can also use this menu option configure to just open it in a big view and you can see properly. So the providers, Microsoft and Amazon for now. I'll go with Microsoft. File or file URL. Instead of providing it like a static uh, answer, so I want to make it dynamic. So I can use insert value, get value from the input, which we already gave before, if you remember. And I want to use the input image, add value, and then save it, right? So I'm trying to link this input image to the OCR directly through this, which is dynamic, right? Fallback providers, it's better if we keep Amazon. In case the Microsoft fails, it goes to Amazon. So I'm not having any webhook, so I'm not going to choose any. File password, I don't have any file password, right? So that's it, done. And then once this is done, what's the next step? So we need to pass the output of OCR to the input of LLM, right? So for that, we need to choose one LLM. If we go to LLM, something like, uh, what should I choose? There are a lot. Probably I'll go with LLM chat for now. Add to workflow. That's it. Okay. I'll configure it again. Okay. What's the provider? Probably, I don't know. Probably I want to choose Sonnet. I like Claude personally. And then fallback. Probably 4.0. Okay. Right. So now the text. So what do you want to give? I mean, this is the context, right? So this is the context. So the context should be OCR's output, right? So you can insert value from the previous node, get value from the OCR async, and if you scroll down, probably you can just take the raw text and then save it. So that's the context, right? So that's the knowledge for the LLM, right? And the global action. So this is basically the instruction that you have to give. So probably you can say answer. Sorry, my bad. Answer this question, and then the question should be dynamic as well, right? So the question should be this query, if you remember. So you go again to the configure point and then answer this question, and then here insert value from the previous node, input query, yeah, save it. That's it. So answer this question and then comes the question, right? The temperature, probably I'll just give 0.4. Next tokens, everything is like fine, right? Okay, so that's it. So that's it. This is a workflow. I mean, it took hardly a minute, right? So now let's go ahead and see how it works, right? All right. So when we hit the run workflow option, we'll get to the API and live testing section here, if you see. So on the left side, you can see the API integration, which I'll talk about in a while. Let's focus on the testing part. So we have our two inputs here, like the query and the input image. For example, okay, so let me choose one image. I kind of took a screenshot of BBC's section. It says something about Canada, UK relations, and something. So we'll see what exactly it is. What's it about? Something like that. Okay. And if I hit the test workflow, okay, the OCR async happens. It reads the text from the image, and then it goes to the chat. Uh, Nothing but the LLM here. I think the first is Claude. Okay. It says the text appears to be fictional news content, contains false information, whatever. So it got, yeah. So it's pretty much that's what it is about. The screenshot about, and yeah, the provider is Anthropic, and it cost me around 0.002, which is cheap. Okay, so this is the workflow testing, and it worked. Okay, now let's focus on the API integration part. So on your left side, you can see there are two endpoints. One is launch execution and get execution result. Launch execution is basically the post endpoint where you send all of this payload, I mean the information to that endpoint, and wait for the process to be finished, right? I mean, so it has two environments. One is Python and JavaScript. Let's say you're working in a Python environment like Django or Flask or something like that. You can go ahead use the snippet. But if you're using Node.js, probably JavaScript is the one for you. And the get execution result is basically it's kind of checking if the process is finished or not. Let's say if the process is finished, you'll get the result. You'll get the result once you hit this endpoint, right? So that's the API integration part. Let's say you have webhooks already there. You already configured webhooks. You can provide the webhooks endpoint here. So when you give this, you don't have to worry about the get execution result, because that's how the webhooks work, right? I mean, when you launch the execution, it starts providing the status, right? So once the processing is done, the status is finished. Once it is finished, you'll get the response directly to your webhook, without you being do it manually hitting the endpoint. Okay, so this is pretty much about the API integration. We'll be seeing now. I'll use this code. I'll be using the Python code here. I'll be implementing this into my project, which I've made. It's a very simple fast API project, and we'll see how it works uh, in the code level. Yeah. Okay. So this is a small fast API based code that I have prepared just for you guys to understand. So it's quite simple. So I have imported all the required libraries and also the API key, uh, which you can get it from the AI's platform, right? And then, so if you remember, there are like two endpoints, right? One is to launch execution, and one is to get the execution result. So I've just kind of snatched that code and I've used it here in my project. So this post method is basically for launch execution, and it seems quite familiar, isn't it? Like it's the same code that we have seen there, which generated there. Um, I mean, I tweaked it a bit just for my for the use case here, and there's one more endpoint just to get the execution result, right? So that's it. I ran this in my local. It's running locally, and let's see how it performs, right? Okay, so this is the post endpoint, and the body. Uh, if you remember, one is basically the file. So I gave a test OCR or something. I just took a small screenshot of something related to Canada and the UK, I guess. I'm not sure what exactly it is. I just gave it, and then the query is what's it about. Let's see what exactly it is, right? Okay, so if I hit send, we'll get the ID and the status and all. So we just take the ID. We can use this ID to get the result. So currently it's in processing state. So if we go to the other endpoint, and if we just type this and hit send, okay, so it succeeded, and we got a huge response. So if we scroll it to the bottom, and we can see, yeah, this is the generated text, right? So Canadian Prime Minister, this text appears to be a fabricated news story, and this is the answer. This is the answer generated by 3.7 Sonnet. So yeah, so that's how you basically use the code snippet that you can get from the workflows, basically with the API of that particular workflow, and use it in our own project. Okay, so let's go back to the builder page and see the other features I forgot to mention. For example, um, there's something called code, right? This is very fascinating feature. Let's talk about this. If I add to the workflow, yeah. So this is the feature, right? And if I open it, if I configure this, you can see it's a small function, JavaScript function, and it returns basically greeting. So let's say, for example, instead of this, let me provide the dynamic input, save, and then if I just run the workflow, right? I do this. Yeah, I just gave the name Taha, the CEO of Eden AI, and let's see. Welcome, Taha. Right. It's pretty easy. It's pretty straightforward, actually. So, I mean, you can build a lot of complex JavaScript applications as well with this, right? There's a, you know, let's say if you are trying to integrate a chatbot or any AI based application, AI based service into your application, this can be one of the solutions you can think of, right? Uh, I mean, there are a lot of possibilities. You can create one more node with one more codes, right? You can basically build a component out of this, and and the AI services you can write it completely entirely using Python, and you can integrate it. It's kind of cross compatible as well, right? So you can think of many possibilities, which is actually fascinating, right? So apart from this, there are other features as well. Apart from all the AI features, we can see there are logics, right? If statement and loop statement. Let's say you have multiple decisions to make, right? This if statement can be used, and it basically splits the workflow into two, if else flow, and each thread is again a separate workflow, right? So when I say thread, it's basically the branch. It's a separate workflow, and it's very important if you're building a huge complex workflow, right? And again, the loop statement, it basically iterates. You can use the mixture of both if and loop, and you can play around. And there are a lot of connectors as well, like Superbase, uh, and also the tools which we saw the code. And there is also web scraping tool. I think this is pretty fascinating. So if we can combine these tools, these features, the connectors, and also the logics, and we can build a really good workflow based on the project requirements. I think this is the main use of workflow. It makes our lives easier. Instead of just relying completely on the code base, we can sit and we can design and understand what exactly we are doing, right? So all right, guys, that's it for the tutorial. I hope you have understood. I know it was a bit complex and lengthy, but trust me, it's very beneficial if you are planning to build a huge project. If you have any doubts or troubles, make sure you join the Discord server, and then there's a help channel out there. You can raise your queries, and I'll be helping you. And there's also docs available. You can have a look at the docs. So I hope you liked the video, and if you do, thank you so much, and I'll be seeing you again.